Welcome to Even Just a Little, where we explore the beautiful gift of choice, tiny trusts toward big freedom, those moment-to-moment decisions we make that build life. Today, I am beyond honored to welcome a stunning, lovely, and light-filled artist, as you see, and human. And our paths crossed, we just discovered a decade ago, 10 years ago. We were both showing art at the Dallas Arboretum and happened to be close to one another. And I admired the way Liana just worked, interacted with people as they walked by, as they walked in her booth, the way she interacted with the other artists, not just her beautiful art, but one thing stood out. On Friday night, there was always a reception for members of the Arboretum, VIPs, people that bought tickets for dinner, music, and they would come, and we would set up all day Friday and then show our art on Friday evening, and then Saturday morning the big art show would start. Well, that Saturday morning we arrived and it had rained the night before. And an art show like this is not an easy thing to put together. You put up a tent, you set up a business, basically. Not an easy feat. And it had rained in Liana's tent, and she's a watercolor artist, so that's not a good thing to happen. But it did slow her down a bit. She just picked back up. We got those paintings hung, and she continued to encourage the rest of us during that art show. And that's the piece I think that sets her apart, the kindness in her creativity. And I want to really dive into that today because I think it shows in your art and definitely in your being, in your presence, and in the way you dress, the beautiful scarves, like your lovely dragonfly that you have on. So welcome, 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 Lynn. I'm so glad to get to chat with you after all these years. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. All is good. And I can't believe you remember that. I totally already forgot about the rain and some of those paintings getting ruined. And I still have some of them where the paintings were, they just got a small amount of water damage, but I totally forgot about it.
Well, but it was just the way that you handled it. And you went on to just encourage all of us. I wasn't social media at all at that point. And I remember you just posting for all of us, inviting people out all day. The art show wasn't just about you and your art. And that's, to me, a real artist, a real artist. So I want to talk a little bit about your early journey. What led you? So you're a wife, you love being a wife, a mother. You've had some architecture in your past. So how did you land as a watercolor artist? What do you think are the little steps? And maybe they were big steps, but perhaps some small steps that led you to becoming a successful watercolor artist.
Thank you. Well, I always painted, I always did watercolor since my aunt gave me my first set of watercolors when I was a child before kindergarten. And I always painted all of the time like that just for fun. And I continued painting with watercolor. Growing up in school in architecture, we used a lot of other paints like acrylics and charcoals and pastels, not so much watercolor. So I didn't do it as much anymore. But of course, we had a lot of drawing in architecture school. And then when I went to work, I worked in CAD a lot and on the computer a lot to do our designs. And I did 3D modeling and I loved all of that. But when my husband and I would travel, while he went and played golf, I would take my sketchbook and my watercolors, and I would just do paintings around wherever we were, what town we were visiting. And one day my husband said, "Why don't you take lessons?" And I thought, why would I take lessons? And he said, to get better. And I still thought, well, why would I need to be better? But anyway, I took lessons with a local artist here in Dallas, Jane Jones, and I loved it. And then she was going away for the summer. And I said, well, I just started taking lessons. I can't stop taking lessons. Who can I got to take more lessons from somebody. Can you recommend somebody? And she said, go take them from Naomi Brotherton. And that started my journey in the watercolor group here in Dallas. And I, it's a wonderful community here. And I think that community is what, and the SWS, the Southwestern Watercolor Society,
Mm-hmm.
that is what got me really going. Because everybody, I just feel like everybody, all artists, all the artists at the art shows, and when I do pop-ups, everybody always wants to help each other and wants to, we're all excited to see what the other person's doing. I think that's kind of just the nature of artists who put their work out there to be seen. We want to be seen, and we want to share our artwork because we want that connection with other people, other human beings. It gets lonely in the studio all by yourself.
So true. That is so true. So connecting not only with the people that resonate with your art, but the other artists. I think that is very true because we do have very common bond in our lifestyles, and particularly if you're a watercolor artist, I think, and both of us love vibrant color and movement, and for it just to be really brought to life. So you paint a lot of nature. You're very drawn to nature. You're very inspired by nature and your architecture. I really enjoy your architecture because that's something that I don't do a lot of. I paint, I'm very inspired by nature, but I love seeing what you do with architecture, children. And as I was thinking of these things that you paint, I really think that children, beauty, creations that human hands have built, architecture, that's all beauty. It's all beauty. And I think that that's one way that God loves us, through beauty. And as I thought of you, you share your beauty with your painting, your scarves. If you want to talk a little bit about your scarves, but also I remember just the way your essence, the way you dress, your friendliness, just beauty. And I have a little, I'm playing with words a lot these days, graphics. So this painting back here is recognizing the silent majesty of ordinary. So these are ordinary things that also seem, these ordinary things that resonate with you that lead to your painting. So walk me through your process. How do you mentioned travel. Is it always travel? Does it always start with something in your travel? But walk me through your creative process. And has that changed over the years?
Well, yes, now that we have phones that we carry on our body
Mhm.
and they can take photos. Yes, just yesterday, driving, I was running errands and just driving around. There were so many times I was like, oh, I have got to pull my car over and take a photo of those irises. Or, oh my gosh, look, when I was at the stoplight, look at those poppies. They are so perfect. And the sun was shining and I could see the colors. I think I love color a lot. Um, and so yesterday, no, I did not stop. Normally I pull over and take photos, but I didn't have time yesterday. And like, if you don't want to go skiing with me, my family can't stand doing a ski slope with me because I'll stop repeatedly going down the run saying, oh, let me just take a picture of these trees. Let me just take a picture of, this over here. And my husband's like, how many photos do you need of
Yeah.
trees on a ski slope? And I'm like, well, this one, the sunlight was different. And even today, I was thinking, because I'm also teaching a beginner's watercolor class, and I was in my home and I saw how on the window jamb, the white paint on the inside was a warm yellowish white, but where the outside light was coming in, I was like, look, that's a cerulean blue. And the conversation just started in my head. This was not intentional. I was just thinking of everything I was going to tell my beginner students.
Uh-huh.
Well, please look at the shadows. And if you look hard enough, it's cerulean blue at the top, and then as it goes down, it gets darker and darker with some purple dropped in, or probably permanent rose dropped into cerulean blue. And then I sat there and just looked at that shadow for so long, thinking about it. And that's why it takes me forever to get anything done. So I think that now I've heard back when I was taking lessons at the beginning, I would hear the instructor say, really look at the shadows. The shadows are not gray. Look at the shadows and you will see other colors. And I thought, I don't see any other colors. I only see gray. And they said, you have to squint and look really hard. And I would squint and look hard. So I would say back, I don't know, 10 years ago, I didn't see these colors in the shadows. Now I see the reflected yellow, the reflective orange from the sun, and then the ultramarine blue, and just all the colors that are in a shadow. And I guess it takes practice. It's just honing your eye.
Yeah. Yes. So
But
your journey, yeah, so your journey has been learning to see, it sounds as if learning to see things a little bit differently. Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I think that's how fun it is to look around you and see colors. I used to think I had to paint colorful subjects. And as through my journey, I was like, oh, I can just put color in. And then now I'm actually seeing color in what we call it local color, meaning the color that the house really is, if you're painting the house, and or the flower, whatever your subject is. And now I see more colors than the color you think you see.
That's amazing. And you can also make it whatever color you want.
That is
Yeah,
true. That
yeah.
is true.
Yes,
Thanks to
yes.
the artistic license.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Well, so you start with a photograph then. Something grabs you notice. So these are the tiny trusts that I'm talking about. As artists, I think we're almost, the more we do it, the more we see. Like you're saying, the more we notice, the more we allow ourselves to slow down and really look and be drawn to something enough to paint it.
Yeah.
And then all the little nuances that you're talking about, that the more you do this, the more you notice and act on it, the more you really see. So I think this is also the case in life. What do you think? Do you have thoughts on that? Like the more you notice this beauty that we're so drawn to, and you mentioned wanting to create it, whether it's a painting or whatever you're putting on. And I noticed that about you. And not all artists have that flair. I think you're a radiant, light-filled human. I mean, I just think that's such a gift. And you're an artist, but you're living it too. So can you share a little bit about that, Leanna, of just how you carry this even a little more than on your paintings?
Well, I think that I'm definitely a visual person and I like the
Mhm.
way things look. So I'm attracted to what I think is pretty. And when,
Will
I,
you talk about that a little bit? Talk about that. You mentioned that you had a teacher early on, and I found this very interesting because I've had the same experience, that you have to have meaning behind your art. And I think everybody has meaning behind their art. If you're 5 years old, you have meaning behind your art. But you mentioned that meant something, it couldn't just be beautiful, that wasn't enough. Will you talk a little bit about that?
yeah, one time I took this watercolor workshop and uh, I really liked this artist's work. And he had told the class in general, like, let's just not make another pretty painting. If you want to be an artist, a real artist, your work needs to say something. It needs to have a statement. It needs to, be strong about something. And the way he was saying it was more about, like, I don't know. I took it as it's something that's going on in the world that we have to speak out about or something like that.
Right.
And because he did say you can't just paint another pretty painting. In fact, he said the world doesn't need just another pretty painting. And that stayed with me for a while. And I thought about it. And then, I don't know, maybe after a year of hearing him say that, because I was trying to find other things to paint other than pretty things. And I finally wrote in my blog about that, that that's what I like that is what I want to celebrate, the pretty things. I want to look at, and that's what makes me excited. And anything that makes any of us excited, that's when the work comes. It's easy and it
Yes.
just flows through us and it's
Yes.
effortless. And that's when it's so fun. And that's when we can stay up till 2 in the morning and go, go, go. And, not have, we can skip a meal because we're so into our work and we're having such a good time and it's so effortless. And when you complete that and when you come to your stopping point, I'm so fulfilled. I think, and every artist is, and that's why we keep doing it. And that
Absolutely. Yes.
fulfillment is, oh, really good feeling.
Yes, it is purposeful, purposeful. And for me, it's purposeful. And I had similar experiences when I started the art shows. I wanted to be a serious artist, put something out there. And then I found that the people that were coming in and I was connecting with many times were art teachers, which I was an art teachers or children, more, not always though. So, but in letting go of that importance, I think this needing to be important, it freed me to be enjoy the delight, notice and delight and share exactly what you said excites me. And that's the artist I'm supposed to be. Not that there aren't others that tackle world issues, perhaps, but I just don't think it has to be big. Made important somehow takes the childlikeness out of it, which touches so many people. Most of us, there's plenty of important, deep issues. I mean, there's plenty of that. But as an artist, what you do, I think, is bring joy and love and light and goodness. And that is a gift. That's a gift to health, wholeness, mental, physical. Um, and I'm very grateful. So what are you working on these days? Anything? Are you moving in a new direction, or is there something else you'd like to say about your process? Because just
Uh,
looking at you and looking at your paintings, you're the same as your paintings. It really is such a gift. I'm so glad you continue to paint things that are beautiful because
Thank you. Thank you.
yes, way to
I
go.
Well, I have come to two different places. I want to answer I have
Okay,
two answers for your question. So,
great.
one thing is since I've been posting on Instagram and things like that for years now, people would come up to me when I was out about town and say, "Oh my goodness, I love your artwork." And I had no idea that they even knew I was painting or anything. And I would say, well, how do you know? And they'd say, oh, I saw it on Instagram or I saw it on Facebook. And I would think, well, I didn't even know anybody looked at that. And they would say, oh, no, I said, I didn't think anybody looked at it. And I've even thought of not posting anymore because I don't know that anyone's seen it. And repeatedly, people have said, oh my gosh, I see it and it's uplifting and please keep posting because you don't know
Yeah.
whose day you might brighten. And so that was encouraging and it has been encouraging. But more lately, I've been thinking about what, I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed. All of these projects come to me. Um, it's all word of mouth. I can't complain. I'm very, very happy with my all the projects that come into me. And so I started thinking, oh my gosh, I need to recognize and praise God for all this. And I need to, because I believe all of this is a gift from God. The gift of me being able to paint and find joy in that, and now teach watercolor classes and sharing that gift with others who've never picked up a paintbrush. That makes me so happy. And then painting for other people, and that connection makes me so happy, and that's so fulfilling. And then if I'm going to paint and create on my own, well, first of all, I want to learn. I want to continue to learn. I like being challenged. I like trying something different. And I asked my dad, I said, well, how, he always guides me on my journey with God and my relationship with God. And I said, how do I do this for, to give the glory to God? How do I express this and let people, well, just say publicly that this is all thanks to God. And, so that's where I'm at right now. And I'm still trying to figure it out. And I see how you have kind of touched on that using your words in, scripture in your paintings. And that's great. And that's Sherri's way. And so now I'm listening to find out, well, what is my way? And it might be just keep painting the flowers and butterflies and the sunshine. I'm so thankful for those days when we have a great sunny day. And that's a way to say, thank you, God, for giving us this beautiful day and the magic of these flowers. So that is that answer. And then I am working on I want to do watercolor. I want to go to the next level. I want to do watercolor in a more fresh and interesting way, a way that's current and a way that's mine. And I don't know what that is. So I'm trying different things. I'm working in the studio, trying different things. That's and on my just personal journey that doesn't have anything to do with art, one of my friends, I was talking about how my watercolor teacher, who was the founder of SWS, had passed away. And I felt, now it had been 6 months, and I felt like, well, she passed away and nobody's talking about it anymore. And nobody's like, there's not any monument to her at our, watercolor society. And I said, how could she have done so much for our group? And she's gone. And then the studio where I used to take lessons, that, as things go in the world, the whole, that piece of real estate sold. So then the new owner raised the rent so much. And so then they had to close up their studio because they couldn't afford the rent anymore. And then also my son, who is going to be my baby going to college. And I was discussing this with a friend. And I said, I just feel like I don't know what I was saying to her, but what she said to me was I needed to read Wild Geese, the poem Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. And it's been, say, 3 or 4 months, and I've been listening to it. I think about it. I have not memorized the whole thing, but I am doing there. I see things, I don't know if this happens to you, but I see things in like ideas, like images come in my imagination. And when I hear it, I see all these images. And there are some specific images, and I've been thinking about it. And then, I think her name is the author Elizabeth Gilbert, who wrote Big Magic. I might be saying the name wrong, the author's name, but she said that ideas come and tap us on the shoulder. And if we don't take advantage of those ideas and like hurry up and put them out and bring them to fruition, then they're going to go find somebody else to. Yeah. And so I was like, I kept seeing this image over and over. And so I've started a painting, and it's in a different medium because I thought, like, the vision I saw, I was like, I can't do that in watercolor. It was not a watercolor type. It was more of a graphic design. And so anyways, I finally just got brave, and I was like, I got to just put it down. So I'm working on that painting. So and I don't know what I'm going to do with it. It's for me. I feel like that idea was tapping me on my shoulder, and I need to try to let that idea come out visually. And maybe it'll be great and maybe it won't, but who cares? I'm glad that I'm experiencing this poem, this piece, this written word of art by
Mhm.
some, different artists. I'm experiencing it that way.
That's amazing. That's part, I think a big piece of being an artist is being willing to take those little risks. We have no idea where they're going to lead. For example, a podcast, really? I'm 64, but I'm doing it. It's a creative endeavor. I get to talk to people that I think will make a difference in others' lives. So, just being willing to, but I think it'd be fun to talk to another artist about that though. How the first of all, the creative that creative process, that um how important has that been just in your life, just like you're talking? Can you think of other, so making the choice to read the poem and making the choice, the tiny trust, to jump into a new way of painting? I mean, maybe talk a little bit about creativity, how that is tied to your life. Let's do that first. Let's talk about that. Um,
But,
how,
um,
why is it important to you, to me, but it's important for everybody. So explain why it's important to you.
I don't know, but if I don't make something for, like, if I go on a vacation, and yes, it could be a fabulous vacation, but if I don't hurry up and get back in the studio and make something, and it doesn't have to be a painting, it could be, I could be making a collage or a flower arrangement, which, I mean, again, nothing fancy, just buying
Creative.
flowers at the grocery store. And I always have to do everything different. I want new flowers. I don't want to do it the same old way. And
You're
just,
playful. You're playful. I love
yeah.
that.
Well,
Go ahead though.
and if I'm cooking dinner, it always has to be, I make it so much harder for myself. I just realized that. I told my husband, I said, the reason why I hate cooking is because I make it into a giant project. I can't just make, I don't know what, pasta for dinner. It is going to be, but I'm going to need all kinds of ingredients from everywhere. And it's going to take so many pots and pans, and it's going to be a big project. And so I just like to, that's the way I am. But I think everyone, well, one of the things when I started noticing more about creativity is my son this past Thanksgiving, he sent me a text and he said, can I try to make beef Wellington for Thanksgiving? And I just said, okay. Okay. So he's, number one, he's only 24 years old. He's never done, this is not part of our family, where we like get into cooking big fancy meals for Thanksgiving. And then beef Wellington, at least he said the right words. He said, can I try to make beef? So I had no expectations. I said, sure. And oh my gosh, he made the most fantastic beef Wellington.
Oh,
And it turned out to be a whole kind of family project. But that's the way my son is he's always wanting to try something that is above and beyond.
yeah.
And I think, and what I tell my students, and what I want everyone to know, and I encourage everybody, no matter what it is you want to do, oh, I got that from the artist way. Like she had to, we had homework in the back of the book. I was in a little study group with that, and I think it's something about like I want to sing, but I don't know how to sing. Or I
Mm.
said I would like to sing and dance, and then you turn the page and said, okay, now do something, go and sing and dance. And like whatever your answer was, it was like, now go do it. It's like, oh my gosh, why did I write that? And
Yeah.
I signed up for, like, I'm telling my study group for the artist way. I was like, I don't want to sing for real. It's just a wish. And I was like, I don't even know who to call for singing lessons. And I can't even carry a tune. I told them all of my fears, and the group, everybody had an answer for every fear. They said, oh, I know a singing teacher. Oh, I know, whatever my fear was, they all had an answer. And then the next thing you know, I was signed up for singing lessons, and I had to drive far away on whatever day we made and do an, I guess, 30-minute singing lesson. So I'm not,
Wow.
so I tried it. I did it, and we had it. I worked on a song. I have all the recordings. It was a Christmas carol. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas.
Oh, I
Um,
love that song too. Oh,
Now, can I sing it? No. Did that singing teacher ever get me on key? Probably not. She tried her very best. It was probably very painful for her. Uh, but at least she was willing and trying her best to teach me. And I tried. And you know what, though? I never got, that was the whole thing. I tried. I never got upset with myself or disappointed. And now I just recognize that we all have different gifts. Some people can organize a luncheon for a charity like nobody's business, and some people can, everybody, whatever it is, build a spaceship. All these different things that we all need in the world, everyone has a different gift. And so let's celebrate our gifts that we have. And then also try other ones because you don't know, you might be good at something else too. Or just trying it it's fine.
that's great. It's great. It's brave. I think those brave little steps keep us alive. And honestly, being willing to be bad at something.
Yes.
Because we're all, I remember specifically when I was teaching art and had the nudge to start painting, I went in a museum and there was a Degas exhibit, and I thought, that's Degas. But he had to start somewhere too. And that gave me permission to, okay. And I look back and yeah, were they good? No, they weren't. And I still make bad paintings, but that's part of it. Being willing to experiment, try something new like you're doing. So wonderful to hear your explanation of the value of creativity. It is. Every single human on earth has something that needs to be expressed, whether it's cooking or gardening or building the space shuttle, or it's just so important. So, oh my goodness, I have loved talking to you. So much fun. Thank you. Well, so I end each podcast. Is there anything else? Any shows you have coming up or anything like that? Anything new that where we can find you?
I have some, go to my Instagram and follow me on Instagram. And that is where to keep up to date because I have some things in the works, but I can't say what they are just yet. They're surprises.
Gotcha.
And I have a surprise for you. Look what I found.
Oh my goodness. That was the first painting I sold. That was the very first. Oh, that's crazy, Liana.
This is the my note. I bought note cards from Sherri back in 2010, and so I used all of them in the box except for this one. I can't part with it, and
Oh,
so
that's
I need
so
to buy you. I need more note cards. Because they're so
Oh,
happy.
oh, yeah, they are happy. That was my garden. I actually had a turquoise fence around my wildflower garden, which I love to paint wildflowers. That's my love primarily. So, yep.
Oh, I just
Well,
love this. That's perfect.
thank you.
And that's echinacea
Yes.
or
Yes.
coneflower.
Yes. Yes. Oh,
So
that's so
I love.
sweet. That's Leanna. That's the human that would save the card and show the card. And that's really so kind and so precious. Well, so I like to close with a tiny trust that you continually make. In all my writing and this podcast, I like to look at choices through the lens of beauty, breath, body, just being still, being creative, or being brave. So, is there something, a tiny trust that you would like to share that you feel has really made a difference in your life and maybe continues to make a difference in your life that you think would affect the lives of our listeners?
Okay, so a new thing I'm doing at the suggestion of my sister-in-law is on and this is I suggested this to somebody else yesterday. It sounds crazy, but I have, I just get a little journal, like just nothing big, those little tiny journals that are easy to stick in your purse. And I get that, my pen, and my dog. And I like to do this around 1 or 2 o'clock in the day when I've worked and
Mhm.
now maybe ate a quick lunch. And I have like just, it's nice and pretty outside, sunny. And we go on a walk and sit somewhere like by a creek or at a park or wherever it looks pretty. And this is from, again, gosh, I hope I'm saying her name right. I should have looked it up before. Elizabeth Gilbert, the big
Okay.
magic, she does
Mhm.
these letters from love.
Mhm.
So the prompt is, God, what will you have me know? And then you just write, or you can say, love, what will you have me know? Because God and love are interchangeable.
Yeah, I love. Oh, that's
And my sister-in-law, she had read to me something that she wrote that we both can't believe that she wrote it. It was amazing. And then I tried it. And, I started out, I was like, God, what we have me know, this is so stupid. I'm sitting here by this creek and I'm writing in my journal and I don't know what. And I had the practice of journaling from doing Julia Cameron's book,
uh-huh.
The Artist Way. And so I knew just to keep writing and writing. And by the time, and I'm not promising this for everybody, but now I do this regularly and I don't always have such a big, profound moment. Well, in fact, I probably never have since that first time, but it's still just a good way to be with yourself and be still and be with God. But the
Mhm.
first time I did it, because I guess I just got lost in the writing and I needed to hear what I wrote. And I promise you, it was not from me.
Yeah.
And I shared that with a group of women. I was doing an Enneagram study group,
Uh-huh.
and I shared that with them. I encouraged all of them to go and try that. And it's just, I think for people who say, if you find it hard to relax or meditate and sit still, but you need to sit still or you need to be still, by writing, you're doing something like it's a step before meditation and just sitting. So you're
Yes.
still writing, your brain is still going, and hopefully by using one of those prompts, um, you get lost somewhere and get an answer, hear what you need to hear.
Similar to how we get lost in our painting.
Yes.
So that's when I think when we get lost in something, then especially if your motivation is God or love, you're gonna see what's needed to be seen in the stillness or the silence and writing. That's such a wonderful way to do it because we're still busy, we're still doing, which we're so inclined to do, but it takes us out of that left side of our mind that has to name and accomplish. So that's a wonderful, wonderful practice to share.
It takes us
Love it.
out of the busyness.
Yes,
We're not supposed to be, our days are not supposed to be filled with busyness.
absolutely.
We're
Yes.
supposed to, yes, we need to be productive. Yes, we need to work, but we don't need to just fill up our days with busyness.
Busy. Busy. Yes, that's a misconception, I think, that many of us would benefit from moving past that. So thank you. It's been a pleasure talking with you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh,
So I hope our paths will cross again soon. Keep me up to date about the new direction you're going. I really would love to hear, and maybe we can chat again about where it's taking you.
yes. Well, don't think this is it. We're going to lunch or we're going to go out walking or we're going to go out painting. We're going to go out plein air painting at the Arboretum.
Let's let's do it. I'm in. I'm going to hold you to that one. This has been too fun. Thank
Yes.
you, thank you, thank you,
I'm
thank you. And I'll send you info when this will be out there shortly. So
great.
thank you so much for taking your time, and it was such a pleasure to see you
Thank,
again and
well,
hear about your journey and see your beautiful art in the background. So
thank you for asking me. And I'm honored, I'm flattered, and I'm so excited about your journey. And I'm just wishing you best of luck.
thank you, Liana. I'll see you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye. Thanks so much for joining us on Even Just a Little.